everybody in America watched you all over social media get arrested last week, or it was like a week and a half ago. You got arrested. And do you wish to share with that? I sure showed the video
like that
first.
was like a year
because that was awesome. That was everywhere, all over social media.
Yeah, you know, I had interrupted the Veteran Affairs Committee, as you know, back in December, but it wasn't a high level congressional committee. And I don't think anyone had this expectation that I was, you know, like anybody was going to interrupt. And so I ended up not getting arrested, but they did end up back in December, they actually tried searching for me inside of the halls of Congress. And so I had went into the bathroom, like took my uniform off, let my hair down, and like escaped through the exit so they wouldn't arrest me. But this time, I mean, it was Pete Hegseth's hearing for Secretary of Defense. And so they had, you know, prepared for interruptions. And so, of course, we were arrested.
Yes. So, okay, so it was kind of like a catch and release then, right? Because I mean, we saw you, I saw you walk down the hallway, kicking, yelling, and screaming with handcuffs behind your back. So,
yeah. Well, you know, as soon as so the way that these rooms are designed, based on how much audience they are expecting, they have different rooms, and it's just kind of like, you know, like an event center with chairs. Nothing actually that fancy. But this was such a high profile hearing that even outside in the hallways, they had this like fenced off area with press. So you can see when I in the video, when I'm like jerking around, like screaming in the hall, it was because I had realized all those cameras were rolling, and I was like, oh, I have to make sure any possible media that sees me gets this message out, you know? So yeah, so they escort me out. They bring me to this like warehouse and pat us down, make sure we don't have weapons or anything sharp, and then load us up into the van and then drive us about 2 blocks to the jail, which is like right there by the Capitol. And we paid $35, and it's just like a ticket. It's like disorderly conduct. It's almost the same thing as if you were to jaywalk. And you can do this 5 times. You can get this ticket 5 times until you actually like have to go to court. That's why you see people getting arrested over and over, like the same people, they get arrested over and over. It's because you have up to 5 times in order to do this, basically.
So you bring it up to 4 and then you quit there, right?
You take a break. And I think there's a time limit too. Like I think after 2 years, it starts over again too. So I really encourage everyone that's listening to, if you have something that you want to say to the senators or to Congress, to really just go and do that, because it's, like I said, it's $35. It's like a parking ticket, like a jaywalking ticket. It's not anything that's on your record. You pay it and you leave. And then we went, and then we left, and then we went to this like local restaurant. And because there was so much media there, people were messaging, trying to get in contact with us so we can do interviews and media follow-up. And so we did that for a few hours and had a few beers.
That is awesome. All right. All right, here, let me start us off. I think Chip Barnes is going to be first. Chip, our buddy Chip, who also served in the United States Army. Chip, what's up, my friend? Go ahead for your first question.
Hey, what's up, Eric? Hey, Josephine, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Hi, Chip.
It's good to see you in a different outfit other than your wonderful uniform. This is your city.
I actually was going to wear my uniform tonight, but I couldn't find it. And so I was just like, okay, this is the next thing I have.
You look way more comfortable. Please make this the status quo.
Thank you.
So first of all, thank you for serving. I was in the first Gulf War in a tank on the front lines back in 1990. So that was an experience and a half. I have pictures of thousands of vehicles as a part of the 3rd Armored Division going in as far as you can see left and as far as you can see right before we went into Iraq. It was a surreal experience. So having said that, I'm just curious, your activism, I know that civil disobedience as a collective tactic to sort of try to shake things up. Obviously, voting with candidate A or B, both seemingly doing a lot of the same things nowadays with all the money. What in your mind do you think it's going to take if voting in and of itself isn't enough? How many of us are going to have to get involved, and what sort of things are we going to have to do to achieve any form of change?
Wow, that's an interesting question that you have. And it's one that I even have asked myself. And I'm actually, if you hold on one second, I'm going to take you to, I have another office, and I'm going to show you my whiteboard and show you sort of what I've been walking through trying to find the answer to this question. Because like the reality is, so this is like the whiteboard of actions. And it's current American actions exposing war crimes and the apartheid of Israel. And I have everything like, okay, we have an international peace coalition where up to 55 nations actually come together under the platform of the Schiller Institute.
Yeah.
Former senators, diplomats, current ambassadors, former presidents of countries. So they're having these conversations. Like I took down like public resignations, like Harrison Mann, Josh Paul, Hala, protesting, which is, kind of goes in line with what I did, like mass protests, minor disruptions, arrests, police force. The hunger strike is a form of protesting, like call to action, nonprofits, like tracking which nonprofits you can trust and the ones you can't trust. Social media campaign, which is basically what we're doing now, lobby groups, PACs, super PACs, investigative journalism. So I basically wrote all of this out here because I too was like, what else can we do? And am I actually involved in, where I could be the most impactful? So like for you, if activism and protesting and disrupting isn't something you can do, think about what else is going on, like social media campaigns. Can you help content creators with investigative journalism? Because like I created this content today for Eisenhower Media Network, which is who I work for the fellows, and that took me 5 hours. And so if you have someone like Erik, for example, that that this like message needs to get out, if you put the video footage together and then send it to Erik and have him share it, that's something that you can do that's impactful to get the message out. Voting, I go back and forth about voting. I would like to believe that the system we have in place can be fixed, if you will. Like we can vote in good candidates that can like infiltrate and like fix the system. But as time goes on, especially like, okay, we just saw the left Democratic administration. It hasn't even been 8 days of the Republican administration, and it is just like chaos. We have, women and children who are losing health insurance. Immigration is cracking down. Like we're just seeing like regular people getting arrested. It's chaos. So I mean, more importantly than voting is actually running as a candidate. We need more people to vote for. We need new candidates. Like that's one of the things I have, like lobby group creations. And like PACs and campaigning. The primaries are going to be coming up soon. Like you think, oh yeah, we just voted. But in a year, the primaries for the next congressional election is coming. 2 years. It's every 2 years. So if someone decides they want to run as a candidate and they have like a humanitarian background and like really good core values, you can support them like on their as a campaign team member. So there are a lot of ways to, beat the system, if you will, or at least create a way that we can be heard. But we're up against, centuries of an empire. And so, the Palestinians have done in the past year, the Palestinians have been able to bring down this empire like at such a high trajectory that we have to help them keep that momentum, basically, because the reality is this isn't the United States of America. This is the American empire. That's what we are. We are this corrupt American empire. That's what we need to bring down to a point that we don't have a choice but to rebirth something else that is good for us as citizens and our international, like brothers and sisters. I hope that helped.
Yeah, that was a very good answer. Chip, anything else? Go ahead.
Well, just one point. You mentioned the Schiller Institute. For those of you who don't know, that's an adjunct of the LaRouche organization, of which Diane Sayre, our friend Diane Sayre, who ran against Kirsten Gillibrand as an independent candidate for the U.S. Senate, she's now the new president. So she told me, just for reference, that she had to get, I think it was 60 or 70,000 signatures in the state of New York just to get on the ballot. And the amount of work that the two-party system does to keep independent candidates, third-party candidates out of the system is part of the problem. They make it extremely difficult, and then what they do is they'll take you to court to challenge your signatures. So you have to spend a ton of money. The system itself is broken. Do you think the system can change, Josephine? Will candidates do it, or are we going to have to somehow get this done elsewise?
That's the part where I'm not really sure. I think that there are things that we can do collectively now to end this system before we'll actually get enough candidates inside of the system. Because I kind of did the math. Like, if we collectively in this movement each push to support a candidate and like campaign for them, get signatures for them, kind of like, Diane and Jose Vega, who went against Richie Torres. If we got hold on, sorry, my baby came downstairs. Sorry, he hears me.
That's how I feel about the system too. I understand.
Yeah, right. So, okay, let's say we were able to collectively get 20 people in one area to work, even just part-time for me. Okay, I'm going to run in, let's for example say I'm going to run in my district. I get 20 people in this area, which I already have gotten the offer. Like, Veterans for Peace has a chapter in Toledo, which is only 3 hours from me. And really 1 hour from my district, but where I'm located in Ohio. And they've already told me, if you run, we're going to help you. Okay, let's say we did that. We had 40 new candidates that we all got behind, we backed, we campaigned for, we raised money for, and 15 won. In 2 years, we do it again, and 15 win. That's 30. In 2 years, we do it again, 15. It would take about 10 years if we do it very strategically every 2 years to get enough candidates to make a difference. There are things we can do now that it won't take 10 years, like stop paying your taxes. Stop paying your taxes. If we collectively stop paying our taxes, or a general strike, if we collectively go on a general strike, we can stop this system and make them do what we, the people, want to do, and not have to do this game of infiltrating this corrupt system and so forth.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Eric, would you like me to drop down so I can make room for others?
Yeah, buddy. Thank you very much.
Chip, and before you go, can you shoot me a message? I actually, before we go too far, anyone that's listening that's a veteran that wants to get more involved with, what I'm doing or anything that I talked about on that whiteboard, if you want to get plugged into any of those areas, I'm in contact with all of those people. I'm doing an all call again for more veterans to get involved, because I'm realizing how powerful our voices are. So please message me. I want to add everyone into a group and start these conversations.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chip. Steve-O is ahead of the curve in the chat room. Steve-O says he hasn't paid taxes in 4 years. Awesome, Steve-O. Mido, thank you so much. And yeah, that's something we do talk about is are we going to be able to vote our way out of this problem? That is an awesome, good question, Chip. And it's pretty sad that we're trying to see, like, infiltrate and sneak in people into our own damn government to try to save us from all the foreign influence. That's a pretty low place we've put ourselves in. Nadia, you're next. Guys, Sham and Taser are in Gaza. If you wish to donate to anybody in Gaza and help them out, Sham and Taser right below me. Nadia, you're up to bat. Hello, Nadia.
Hi, Josephine. Thank you for your service and thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
So my question is about Trump. What do you think his political objectives are for Gaza? Like, what do you think his role is for the politics in the Middle East?
Okay, well, as you know, in the past 24 hours, he's starting to produce this narrative, the same that Biden did. And I'm pretty sure if we go back historically, every president, even since, you know, like as far back as Bill Clinton and Bush, attempted to get more refugees out of this area for the greater Israel, if you will. And so I don't doubt that he is going to do everything he can to try and get people into Egypt and Jordan. And we can see that when he first cut off all foreign aid, at first he left open Jordan, Egypt, and Israel. And then like a day later, even cut Jordan off. And so after having conversations with some of my colleagues at Eisenhower Media, we've all come to like this conclusion that we're fairly confident this is a tack that he's going to use to try and get the Jordanian king to agree to have refugees come into Jordan. So I think it's going to be this sort of like attempt at a mass deportation of Palestinians from Gaza. And then I'm watching the real big possibility of the West Bank being annexed. And because there was legislation that was passed to call the West Bank Judea and Samaria. And so they already are in the psychological phase of annexing the West Bank. And so I feel like that's underway as well. But we'll see how the axis of resistance responds to that happening, because as we see, you know, between Lebanon and Israel, they continue to violate the ceasefires. These people are trying to return home and they are being killed. So this is going to reignite some sort of battle, if you will, between Lebanon and Israel.
Right.
They just don't have the capacity to manage all these war fronts, one in Gaza, one in the West Bank, one in Lebanon, one in Iran. They just don't have the capacity for that anymore. I don't necessarily see Trump sending these like billions and billions of dollar packages. Mm-hmm. But then again, I didn't think he would suggest that we use military force to take Greenland and the Panama Canal. So, yeah. So what I believe is most likely they're going to push to annex the West Bank and get as many Palestinians out of Gaza.
Okay. And then my follow-up question was related to what Chip said. Creating like a pack is such a great idea that would rival AIPAC. How does that logistically work? What would that look like? Like, how does that logistically work? Because, you know, they are a monopoly, as it were. And so maybe we should create one.
Yes, there actually is some that already have been created for this exact reason. But I will tell you, I think is it FEC? Maybe I'll Google it real quick just so I make sure to tell you the correct thing. I think it's FEC PAC application. Registering as a PAC. Yes, it's fec.gov. And you basically just fill out an application and you create your own PAC. It's not that hard. See, what a PAC, there's a difference between a PAC and a super PAC when it comes to supporting the candidate. A PAC is mainly, let's say I need donation, like $5,000 of donations to go towards sponsoring ads on Facebook. Because as many of you know, the boomers are our highest percentage of voters are are older generation, and most of them use Facebook. So you'll see a lot of candidates you will spend more money on ads on Facebook where they know these are the voters. Let's say I need $5,000 for my district. I want to run ads in all these zip codes. It goes by zip code, or you can do it by zip code. A PAC would basically be like do a transaction directly with the vendor. So Meta would be the vendor, and it bypasses me. So there's not really any there's not a tracking, if you will, of the donations, and like you can audit the PAC, but like as a candidate, a PAC can do and donate as much as it wants because its transactions are directly with a vendor. Does that make sense? So like if I wanted posters or yard signs, they go directly to the vendor, bypass me. And so that's how a lot of these candidates get away with a lot of things.
Okay, so we can look at the website and see how to kind of come together. And then do you need a certain number of signatures? Or, I mean, I can look up the logistics.
I don't think so. I don't think so because a friend of mine that created a PAC, he's actually active duty getting out of the military because of all of this, but he and his family members created a PAC, and it wasn't that difficult to do. He just filled out this application. I don't think you need, I think it might have cost money, like a little bit of money to fill out the application and get it processed, like administrative fees, but I don't think it required signatures or anything like that.
Okay, and then it would be just getting the word out at that point, right?
Yes. Okay. And donors. I mean, you need donors in order to
right
support the candidate.
Thank you, Josephine. I appreciate you. Have a great night.
Thanks. You're welcome.
And thank you, Nadia. Very, very good question. And yeah, the PACs definitely open up the ability for dark money to flood in too, and also freaking foreign interference and everything too. We really need to fix our system. Our system has got true. So many loopholes. I'm glad you
mentioned that because one of the things that I was actually talking to my friend. I have a friend that flew from Texas that I met through the Palestinian movement, and I was just telling her about this situation where if I run as a candidate, I'm back in this thought process of who am I selling my soul to? Because you need money. You have to have money in order to do it. You have to have support. And so you have to think about who is sending you the money and what are they going to require of you to do, right? And so it's you're selling your soul to this one or that one. You never know. You have to be really careful about dark money for sure.
Yes, because in the case in America where money wins elections, it creates an underlying incentive structure where the incentive structure should be appeasing the public and not trying to chase money. But yeah, and then bad politicians chase out good politicians under that such structure, because any politicians who will take money from foreign governments or any source at all to compromise themselves have a competitive advantage over good politicians.
Yep.
So it's extremely important to look at the underlying incentive structure, which is in this case set in a very negative way. 1,000%. Guys, the two guests below me, Taser and Shammer, both in Gaza. If you wish to donate to them, I will thank you on their behalf. And then Jennifer, is it Buddha's next? I think Buddha is next, right?
Yes, Eric.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Dang.
All right, Buddha, go right ahead, buddy.
Cheers to our friend.
Heck yeah. Yes, cheers.
That is cool.
Go ahead, Buddha.
All right, let me do this real quick. My phone is acting up. Has anybody heard about Bella Ciao? Have you heard about Bella Ciao? It's a song, a poem during the World War II. It was Bella Ciao is an anti-fascist folk song that originated in northern Italy. It was a song of Italian partisan during World War II and became a symbol of resistance against the German occupation. Well, this Bella Ciao resistance song is being sung right now in Germany because of the people have now seen the light and are seeing what is really happening and who is at the helm. Let me see. Did I do it? Did I do it? No, I didn't do it. Did I put myself up? Okay, yeah. If you could put me real quick on the big screen, this lady. If you guys can go.
No. What's your question for Josephine, my friend?
Oh, other than that, my question is, how are we going to be able to? Because I love the idea of taxes not being paid. This is what
I bet you do.
I've been trying to find. I found this old elder guy, and I've been so busy to get back to his content. He has the way to do it legally, but we need more than just us. We need more. Like, we're looking at least close to 1 million people to do this. So how can we all band together, sign a petition, and do this grassroots just not paying? Does that include filing for taxes too?
Okay, so there is a legal way actually to do this. I don't know exactly how to fill out the W-4 form. Allows you to change how much you want, I guess your federal withholding. But the reality is, the expectation is that although you don't pay into federal taxes through the year, when you would file your taxes, you would owe like all this money, right?
Yeah, no, I just got that way,
and then you just don't file, which then you become it's illegal, and so you have to consider the legal consequences. I know a lot of people that have, not paid taxes in years, and there's a process that the IRS will use in order to try and let you know you owe all this taxes. They'll try and do settlements. They'll start sending certified letters in the mail. If you don't sign for them, you'll extend, your time if you don't sign for them, or and then ultimately you could do a settlement to not have to go to jail. But also, the most legal thing to do is to live a life where you don't have to make that much money. So, for example, my husband and I, October 7th came about. We had a home that our mortgage was $6,400, $6,400. It was a 6,000 square foot home. I don't know what we were doing. We made a lot of money. And so we thought, capitalism, let's make money, spend money. Well, we downgraded into something that now our mortgage is $1,700. We went from $1 million house to a $235,000 house. And then, I don't buy Coach purses. I shop at thrift stores for me and my kids. I grow a garden so that I spend less money on food. It's called self-sovereignty. If you can become self-sovereign, where you don't have to make that much money, you by default are giving less money to the government. So it could be something sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard because of everything is $1,500 for a bedroom. Everything
that's why it takes community too, because gone are the days where everyone has their own house. If you are a single male, for example, or even a small family with one kid, we have to start building communities where it's normal that if I have a 2-story home and my basement is completely fine to host, a family with one kid, make it normal that we live together like every other country pretty much in the world does. They don't, here in America, we have grown to think it's normal that every child has their own bedroom, or, that we don't have our parents living with us. That is by design meant to keep us individualized and a lack of community. It's normal for us to have roommates. It's normal for us to live with other people. And so I think one of the missing points in this movement, or not missing, it exists, but it doesn't exist wide enough, is having that community support where you can have roommates. Like, make it normal again that a 2-bedroom apartment has 2 couples.
Buddha,
That's
thank you very, very much,
yeah.
Buddha.
That's it for me on that. That's it for me on that. I just if you can DM me any other legal way that I can make this happen, because I don't want to pay
Tell
anymore.
you who to look up to. It's called Kathy. She's at the Dorothy Day house. Dorothy Day. Her name is Kathy. Hold on one second. I'm gonna tell you her name. I can't remember her last name.
Can you also make sure you text it on the comments so we can screenshot it for later? And I'm done. Thank you, Eric.
It's called the War Tax Resistance, CatholicWorker.org. So you can, as early as 1943, Dorothy Day was advocating withholding taxes in order to avoid complicity in military violence. So if you guys want to check that out, War Tax Resistance, a Catholic worker tradition, you might get more information.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, guys, back in the 1960s, 1950s, one man could have one car, a small house, but one job, and be able to afford his car, house, wife, and bring up his children on one salary. Nowadays, it takes 2 people to afford a tiny little apartment. Our economy's gone to hell. All right, Steve-O, I see you, Steve-O. All right, Steve-O is going to be, guys, our bottom 2 guests, Taser and Sham, are in Gaza. If you wish to join them, I'll thank you on their behalf. Jennifer, is Bangs next or is Steve-O next? I'm sorry. Thank God for moderators.
Bangs is next.
Bangs is next. All right. Bangs, welcome back to the show, Bangs. Go right ahead, buddy.
Thank you. Hey, Josephine, thank you for your military service. We appreciate everything you've done and you're still doing. We appreciate that. And I'm just going to keep it short. So, I live in America and I'm tired of every day having to find something new about what we're doing with our money. I'm like, I just found out like 2 weeks ago that we're building an embassy in Lebanon that's twice the size of the Pentagon. I'm like, what the heck are we doing here? Like, why are we building all these embassies here? All that money that's being sent over there could be used for us to have free health insurance, free ambulance. And it's like, I'm so confused, because then when you see these White House briefings, which I think is a bunch of BS, they start talking about money. I'm like, bro, you're sending all the money to other countries and building stuff that you should be building here with infrastructure. So I'm just tired of this nonsense. I'm just trying to figure out, like, what do you think is going to take for them to realize, to wake up and say, hey, what happened to America first instead of Israel first? This is not like a hard question to ask. So I'm just speaking for every other American that lives here, and we want change. Like, I'm tired of the high expenses. I'm tired of the high grocery. I'm tired of the health insurance being so high. And you see other countries that have free health insurance. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, why is it that they can have free health insurance and free health and everything else is free, but we have to pay? Everything is just so expensive here. So I just want to know, when is it going to take for them to realize that, what about us? Michael Jackson said they don't care about us. And that's a true song. They don't care about us. And you see what's going on. So we need help here in America.
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. I guess my question to you is, what have you done since coming to this realization? Like, how long have you known? What have you done? That's really, everyone needs to ask themselves that question, because there's not a very large group of people that are disrupting, that are protesting, that are, organizing, that are doing community support, mutual aid. It's not a lot. And it's because so many people want to do something, don't know what to do, don't know how to get connected, are so busy working 60 to 80 hours a week anyway to make ends meet, don't have the capacity to. So that whiteboard, I don't know if you were here earlier, that I talked about, there's so many different moving pieces. And the goal is for you to do the work to find where you fit in order to make a change. No one can tell me what I can and can't do. They don't know my life. I only have so much to give. I have 4 children. But somebody else that might be a single bachelor or a single woman who has the capacity to give more time, do more organizing, where's your, who's your senator? Who's your congressman? Have you interrupted them? Have you attempted to contact them? Have you emailed them? Have you went to their office? Did you reach out to 10 friends of yours that live in your district and say, we need to collectively request a meeting? Have you done that? Like, you have to ask yourself, what else can I do? Have I done enough? Have I pushed myself to the limits of what to even be uncomfortable? I mean, it's incredibly uncomfortable to get arrested, as you can imagine. It's not like I'm sitting there like saying the Lord's Prayer, like, just like, don't let him hurt me too bad, like, hopefully I don't know how I'm gonna pop off, because look, I was scared they would say I was resisting arrest, which would have been like a different charge. But you have to like put yourself in these uncomfortable situations to find out how we can collectively make a difference. So you have to find where you fit, and also like harass to a degree. Don't harass, but like, where does your leader go to the gym? Get a membership, start going, work out, and be like, hey, I'm watching every move you make.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think what you said is correct. I think as people, I think we need to do more. Like I said, we need to band together, figure out a way to, instead of actually talking about, actually be about it, and actually be out there and spread the word and actually take action, so things can start to, make way for a better, for a better plan, for hopefully that plan can become positive, and we
Yes.
can see how things go from there. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and also one of the biggest things that everyone needs to understand is we have to unite together from both sides of the aisle. This isn't like, I have this sign here from the left to the right, the USA must unite. We have to unite collectively as people and put aside some of the differences in order for us to collectively move forward as a country and stop like functioning in this military industrial complex loop. Like, we have to be open to knowing that a few years ago, this person may have said something that I'm not comfortable with, but they're growing and they're trying. And that's what it's going to take. You have to leave room to connect with someone that you don't align with everything. I come from a conservative Christian background, but I have managed to like intertwine with people in this movement because we have so many similarities and we really do want the same thing. So one of the biggest things I'll say is unity with people from all. Talk to someone that you never thought you would even talk to before, and
yeah,
you'll build this camaraderie, and this movement will grow. That's the one thing they don't want, because when we unite, it's over.
exactly. Okay, I appreciate you for those helpful answers, and definitely gonna take something away from this. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Bangs. Appreciate you very, very much. And thank you, Bangs, for keeping it short, too. And I appreciate everybody. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's one thing we've been hammering for the past 15 months. It's not a left-wing, right-wing issue. It's an all of us issue, guys. It's a humanitarian issue. And yeah, always, there's a lot of things. There's a few things that divide us, but there's a lot of things that keep us together, and focus on things
Right.
that keep us together and ignore what divides us. 100%. And we've maintained that balance pretty good on this show, and I'm very, very happy about that, guys.
Yeah, Eric, one of the things that I always say to people from either side of the aisle, I say, do you think that the child underneath the rubble cares what party affiliation that you are to speak for them? They do not.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yes. Guys, all the other issues like the abortion issue, whatever the issue may be, these are important issues, but it's not more important than what's going on in Gaza, and also holding our country together from being exploited and influenced by other countries. 1000%. Bangs, thank you once again. And now up to my buddy Steve-O. Everybody, please hit the follow button on Steve-O, and hit the follow button on our main guest. I'm sorry, I haven't even announced that yet. Everybody, I'm sure you're already following her, but everybody hit the follow button on our guest, Josephine Guilbeau. And our buddy Steve-O, who is a content creator and a one of the biggest protesters in the country. My buddy Steve-O. Go ahead, Steve-O.
Hi, Eric. Hi, Josie. I hope you don't mind me calling you that. You said we could in the past.
Yeah, go
Right.
for it.
First, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I just want to say I'm really proud of you and Greg, for one, for your disruption and just how face forward you're being in the movement and how much you're risking, because you are risking a lot, not only for yourself. I'm sure you get grief from some of your loved ones, from your friends. And so I'm really proud of you and Greg. So I just want to say that first. And my question would be, what do you have to say to people who are already facing consequences for standing up for what's right, just using their free speech to stand up for Palestine and for the oppressed people of the world, and people who are already facing jail time? I have friends who are facing jail time. I'm personally facing up to possibly 7 years in prison for being arrested at the DNC convention in Chicago and falsely being accused of aggravated assault on police officers. Even though it's all on camera, they refuse to even talk to us. So I just want to say, do you have any words of inspiration for people who are already facing problems? And what do you think people should do to maybe even support people who are already?
Yeah, I actually have a really good friend that's a Marine veteran that's also facing prison for something that occurred at the protest when Benjamin Netanyahu addressed Congress. And coincidentally, I had a phone call with him for like 4 hours last night because he's having, it's like an emotionally hard, process he's going through, and they offered a plea deal and he's thinking if he's going to take it or not. And so like, number one, emotional support is really important. And so like, whether it's you giving it to someone else or anyone listening, like it's so important for us to even just like offer emotional support. And if I had to stay on the phone till 2:00 in the morning with him to make him just feel for a day like that he can kind of forget about what he's facing, do it. Just like emotional support. Number one, we have to stick together as a community. Number two, the way I think about prison time, if I'm being honest with you, but this is just my perspective, is I volunteered to die for my country. And so like, if I were to have to go to prison in order to try and save children, that for me isn't that big of a deterrence, because I feel like it's not a consequence, it's a badge of honor in order to, try and do the right thing. And one of the things that you can do is, if you don't have attorneys, you need to put requests out. Like if you don't have legal support in the way that you feel that you should, you need to make it known publicly on whatever social media platform, whoever say, I need this, because there is financial support and there are a lot of people that do make a lot of money that would help you, or know lawyers. I'm connecting my Marine veteran friend to an attorney that I met, not your lawyer, MD. He's a criminal defense attorney right there in Maryland, to see what's his legal advice. So don't be afraid to put it out there of what you're facing, so that people can try and do whatever they can to help you. But, I appreciate what you've done for these children. I mean, because, I'm a mother, and I would pray to God that someone would do what you have done for my children. So thank you for...
Steve is a rock star. He's King Leonidas. We've been to protest several times together. He's at the front line in the cop's face. He's absolutely hilarious.
Oh,
that's our buddy Steve-O. Yeah.
Hey, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. That you brought me to tears, and that's it. That's all I need. Thank you so much.
Everybody, once again, hit the follow button on Steve-O. Hit the follow button on our main guest.
Yes, everybody follow Steve, because he needs our support. Steve needs our support. He did the dang thing.
He did the dang thing, guys. He did the dang thing. That's the dang doer down there, man. Yep. Hell yeah.
I shout out my co-host, which is right below Eric. My co-host, Ali family, really does so much to help the children of Gaza, even though she's a mother of 4 and has been dislocated to Egypt. She has done so much to help the families of Gaza. He's an amazing person. That's it. I'm done.
Appreciate you very, very much, Steve-O. Guys, the two guests below me, Ali's family and FK, if you wish to help anybody out, they are in need of help. So thank you once again to Steve-O. And Josephine. All right, so you can also tell your friend, too, that's facing any plea bargain that they get. The first plea bargain is always a scare tactic. It's like the used car salesman. They're always going to come high on the first one just to get you to come down to the place where they wanted you at the end anyway. So that's always a scare. I've been through that freaking ringer a million times. All right, Steve-O. All right, and once again, let me see. Where am I? Oh, I'm at Magic right now, aren't I? Our friend Magic, our teachers. Go ahead. Hello, Magic.
Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for coming back to visit. I just wanted to get your perspective, as you being an advocate for peace and human rights. What do you think is the impact of Trump's America's First approach on advocacy for Palestinian rights? I mean, we already know that he recognized Jerusalem as, Israel's capital. We see that. I see recently he invited Netanyahu to have a meeting with him. So, what do you think? What's next, and what do you think?
Well, okay, so the American First idea is a propaganda piece that is used for especially the middle class and lower class citizens who so desperately right now need help. I have so many friends that are middle class people here in the Midwest that are literally going into debt on credit cards, praying and hoping that they have some sort of relief from this administration. The reality is that's not coming because it's all a falsehood. It's just lies. They lie to us. We just have to know that what's coming out of their mouths is not true. Number one. So, what is America First going to do for America? Absolutely nothing. Our rights are getting taken away. Our benefits are getting taken away. They force us to have children, but then take food stamp and Medicaid away. This isn't sustainable. So the reality is things are going to get very uncomfortable for a lot of people from a financial perspective. It's going to get really hard is what I anticipate. And that's why I keep suggesting community support. For me, I wouldn't mind. I have a 4-bedroom home and I wouldn't mind having another family here if that's what it took to keep a family off the streets because they no longer can afford even working, 60, 80 hours a week. They can't afford to live. How do I feel like this? I don't think that policy it correlates directly with the impacts that you're going to see inside of Gaza. And I don't know if you were here earlier where I talked about the displacement of more Palestinians from Gaza into Egypt and Jordan. There, the Egyptian government and the Jordanian government is corrupt themselves. And so I'm expecting that Trump is going to use money in order to displace Palestinians into those countries. I also expect that there's going to be a strong push, as under the radar as possible, to annex the West Bank.
I see that happening too. And I see the bill that was introduced by one of the New York Congress representatives to rename the West Bank to Judea
and Samaria.
And I'm seeing that I really want people to really push back on all of this because there are so many Palestinian Americans, especially I'm from New York City. A lot of Palestinian Americans have family. I myself have family in the West Bank too. I think that, just kind of can't, I feel like the more we just let it be, it's going to be what Trump wants it to be, which is getting paid off and annexing the West Bank. And my last follow up is, what do you think the long-term consequences are going to be due to Trump's, political stance on Palestine and Israel?
Well, okay. So number one, What I suggest for the West Bank right now is that we need to organize together in this movement and find out who are the journalists on the ground reporting. Everyone, like the same thing that we did in Gaza, we need to be sharing this information, and we need to all know who's the journalist, who are we following, you know, the ones that are speaking the truth. Because I still don't even really know who to follow in the West Bank, because we've been so hyper focused on everything going on in Gaza. So number one, we really, really need to do that. Number two, we really need to have an influx of people that are going into the West Bank before they completely shut off the crossings. We need people that have been flying under the radar to fly into Israel and go to the West Bank and protect the farmers in these rural areas. Like, we need hundreds of people to be doing this,
Yes.
because they haven't cut off the West Bank yet the way that they had Gaza cut off. And so there is still an opportunity for especially white men, no offense, but white American men. It is so important for them to be the ones on the front lines, because they, by design, are heard, and things, I don't know, like blow up more when they say something in America. The right, the left, the like, if a white American veteran would be killed by Israeli forces, can you imagine what would happen?
No, it would be a lot of outroar. Like
It would be a global outroar. It would be talked about for a very, very long time. And like, I obviously don't want that to happen. But what I'm saying is the impact that, and like the differences that a white man, American man, can make by going there would be really huge. And so I encourage anyone, but especially them, this is your time to try and make up for what your ancestors have been doing to the people of this world.
Do you think that Trump, and I don't know if you've looked into it, but I heard something about him trying to have another executive order in regard to like protests or people interrupting like Zionist, meetings or things like that. Have you seen any or heard anything like that? And if there is anything like that, how do you plan to move forward in your advocacy and the way that you interrupt these people?
Yeah, like you mean like harsher punishment?
Yeah, or like
Yeah,
trying.
I mean, for me, I'm not as affected as someone who is, who was born in another country. And so that really worries me, because a lot of people that are advocating, that are Palestinian Americans, for example, could potentially get their citizenship revoked or deported, or like these college kids get their visas revoked. I mean, look at what he just did to the people from Colombia. Like, they don't even really have anything to do with what's going on. And all of a sudden now, all these people that are here from Colombia on a visa are going to have to go through all these deterrence methods and headaches just to fly. So, I mean, like I said, I think things are where the reality is we are living under a fascist government. So you have to have this expectation that things are going to get worse here. The claws are going to dig in. That's just like the reality of where we're headed. And so community support, I prefer to be on the front line than a Palestinian American, because I know that they're not where they can't deport me. They can't. My ancestors have been here for hundreds of years now. Like, there's no, I mean, I guess they could exile me. I don't know. But the point is, like, we need Americans who are born here that don't have these like birthright, or they don't have a green card. Like, we need as many Americans to be on the front lines, being the voices for the ones who face the potential of getting deported.
100%. Thank you so much for the realistic, response, especially in regard to the West Bank. Like,
Yeah.
there needs to be more advocacy, and us that we do have rights, born and raised here, citizens, all of that. We should be, again, I keep telling people, push back on these bills and these things that are being introduced. Otherwise, it's just going to happen, and we're going to lose the West Bank. And God forbid. Thank you so much.
And wait, I want to address one more question. How do I think this is going to play out? I, for the past year plus, have been keeping up with what's going on with BRICS. And also, as I mentioned in the beginning of the call, I am on the International Peace Coalition calls all the time. So I have like a pretty good understanding of how the global South is reacting to our empire, how China is reacting to our empire. And of course, I know how vulnerable we are to China because I worked at NSA for 5 years. I understand our vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure, and I understand like their technical advances and what they can like actually are capable of doing to us. And so I just want to tell you that our empire is falling. The American empire is falling, and people are gravitating towards having alliances, both economic and security alliances with the BRICS countries. So it's only a matter of time before the axis of resistance, gains more weapons or gains more financial support, international support before we're like round 10, basically.
Whenever you do have I want others to ask their questions, but whenever you do have a chance to answer this question later, I'm just curious to get your feedback on the 4 Israeli hostages that were released and what your perspective is on the narrative that, they made H to be this bad person and all that, but we see like one of them is like infatuated with one of the resistance fighters, because we all know that Palestinian men are very handsome, most of them. But anyway, later, I just want to get your perspective, because these narratives, it's like they deem them as this, and it's like I even posted a video, and it's automatically system notification of hateful organization. It's just so annoying. And I really want.
I think just real quick, like I actually go into depth about this word terrorists and how we like define people who are terrorists in several interviews. If you go on YouTube and like Google my name, there's a 6-minute one that I talk about. It's like 6 minutes, and it's called The Awakening, Josephine Guilbeau. I talk about that. And then I think I did something with Greg on Mint Press where I talk about it. I have a lot of interviews on YouTube where I talk specifically to how and like why our country and how our government brainwashes people in our country to believe this narrative about who's a terrorist and who's not.
Thank you so much, Josephine.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure talking.
Magic.
Honor to talk to you. Thank you so much, Erik.
Always appreciate your magic, guys. The 2 people below me, Ali's family and FK. If you wish to donate to them, I'll thank you on their behalf. And right now, I'm up to bat with our buddy Shadowban. What's up, my friend? Go right ahead, buddy.
Hey,
thank you for your patience, bud.
No problem. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me, especially with such beautiful people standing up for humanity. That's such a beautiful thing. Josephine, I am absolutely enamored with you. Every time you speak, it comes straight from the heart, and anybody with a touch of compassion can feel that. You last time you were up here, you had mentioned, I kind of felt like you were seeking a little bit more community, and you would like a little bit more support when you go and get arrested.
I would just like more people to do it. Honestly, I wanted to do it to make you guys see like it's not that big of a deal. You just get a little click and they process you out, and next thing you know, you're having lunch and a beer.
we that's when you truly won my heart. Is when I saw you get arrested next week. Eric showed it for about a week on the show. It
Oh,
was
Yes, we played it. Listen, I'm sorry, Josephine. We played that video like at least twice a night for a week. It was a good video. They literally had to pick you up and carry you out of that
yeah.
chamber. It was an awesome, awesome video.
Yeah, I stood up on the chair too. Maybe if I wouldn't have did that, I would have had like 5 more seconds. But I needed them to see my face. Like I was like, "Hey, corrupt senators!" I needed them to like know I'm talking to you. And it was so funny because Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, which by the way, if anyone's from Arkansas, this guy is totally corrupt, racist. I mean, has sold his soul to the devil. I don't know if we can revive him. Just FYI. But he said getting paid for by China. I said, people have accused me of collecting money from China, George Soros, Bill Gates. I was like, I'm not getting any of these money, but if y'all know how to like get me in touch with them where I can get a check, let me know.
Shadow. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, Shadow Ben. Anything else you wanted to add, buddy? Appreciate you, bud.
yes. Are you single? And if not, how can I reach out to you?
All right. All right. I'm gonna hit the mute button. Go ahead.
That's funny. I actually single. Yes.
Are you okay dealing with a colored guy? I'm Lebanese.
I am not sure if I am in I don't have like preferences either way when it comes to color, but I will say that I am not sure if I am in the mental capacity for a relationship right now because I am healing from a genocide.
I'm with you 100%, Josephine, and I don't think any true love is at first sight. I believe true love is worked over time, and I would just like the opportunity to get to know you.
Oh my gosh. Shoot me a message. Go for it.
Giggity. I appreciate
Giggity.
you.
Oh, that's how you're gonna fit. All right. Shadow Ben, thank you very much. Great ending. Thank you. Giggity. All right, Shadow Band. I thank you very, very much. Not online ever. Before you go on, my friend, you have an echo. Could you please turn off your Bluetooth? And I don't know how you have to fix it because I don't know how you're set up, but you have a really, really bad echo. Not online. So if you can't turn it off, then I'll have you ask your question, and then I'll turn your microphone off to prevent the echo, if anything else. And everybody below me, Ali's family and FK are both charity. If you wish to help them out, I'll thank you on their behalf. Please hit the follow button on our guest here. And not online anymore. Go ahead. I'll put your microphone request on. Go ahead and try.
I'm married to an NSA GS-15, and I won a political scholarship when I was a kid, and I told her, oh, I understand politics, and she bought me the Israel lobby, and I went down this rabbit hole, and I learned that Americans have a higher infant neonatal fatality rating because so many boys die from circumcision. And it's something that has bothered me forever. That's all I had to say. It's literally the wrath of the Jews.
Wow.
Okay.
But, you know, it's interesting that you brought that up because through this movement, I actually have come to learn so much more that I've been brainwashed by that doesn't have anything to do with like the Palestinian cause. And circumcision has been one of the things that I have learned about. And it was like kind of by chance that I learned that when they circumcise boys, the skin is then used to create like face products. And I'm like, that's enough.
Not just that, but look up this lawyer, Eric Klopper. He's a lawyer in California, and he's also got a Harvard lecture. The Harvard lecture is one of the best lectures. It's 90 minutes long. But yeah, it's basically this like giant multi-headed behemoth of profit and religion. And you can learn a lot about it just by typing in foreign interference Israel circumcision. because the U.S. Department of State, like Denmark, tried to make it a felony, and the U.S. Department of State beat up the Mette Ferguson, the Prime Minister of Denmark. That was in 2022. And I mean, what is the U.S. Department of State doing fucking over a Prime Minister of Israel? No, of Denmark. You know, like, and this
Because
ultimately,
the Department of State is a fake institution
yeah,
to try and like calm
it's a warhead.
the masses calm.
Yeah. And I personally, what was really a thing for me, I was in Huffington Post, Jerusalem Post, People Magazine. I mean, it was like 10,000 news. I held my phone up to Pink a year ago, and it had a billboard on it that said circumcision is cruel. And Pink had me beat up by cops. And that hit, you could just Google it, Pink circumcision, hit the news tab. That's me. I'm in literally every single fucking Jew news on earth. And one thing that fundamentally changed me as a person, because if you add the search term Jewish, like you do Pink circumcision Jewish, okay, you'll see me in Jewish news of Australia, Jerusalem Post.
My friend, please remember to use replacement words because the algorithm is listening to us at all times, please. Okay. Just say J-Bird and the F-bomb, all that.
F-bomb. All right.
You're good.
Those news phrase me holding my phone up as a terroristic, anti-geometric, because that's another euphemism from Rathbone. He's like anti-geometric. Like, what the fuck? Really? It's an anti-geometric or act of terrorism because I held up my phone in silence? Like, seriously. And just watch the video. There's a bunch of TikTok videos of Pink going at me, and I was silent. I held up my phone. Everybody's holding up their phone. But I held up my phone facing the opposite direction. And she just went unglued on me. I know Netflix producers now, and I mean, a lot of people, because you get into that many news. And it was really an educational thing. And even Huffington Post pointed out her hypocrisy. Huffington Post was like, well, Pink put a nude photo of her son online in 2018. And I think that's why when I held up the billboard to her, she got all triggered and went crazy on me. And anybody that jokes about it has never been to like your whole baby complications or watched a lecture on doctors opposing circumcision or read into the lawsuits on the lawsuits being religious bias in medicine. That's what Eric Klopper's doing. He's the attorney that's literally going state by state. So,
I think that the biggest issue about circumcision, honestly, is that our culture and government doesn't allow for enough education to reach the ears of the Americans to make an actual educated choice. Yeah. And so, yeah, in that, as I've learned so much about like what's behind circumcision, it's
the same with Gaza. It's the same thing that they try to block and they try to hide it, and sad.
It's by design to block us from finding out like the truth. But the interesting thing that I've come to learn, and it's so important that everyone understands this, that it only takes you planting a little bit of curiosity inside of someone for them to go down the rabbit hole of searching for the truth. And it only takes them to find out one truth in order for them to understand that they are getting lied to about dozens of truths. So like we put so much pressure on ourselves as activists to like want someone to start screaming at a senator, right? Like that's my own pressure. Like I need more activists to be yelling at our senators and congressmen. But the reality is the difference is made when we even just for like plant a little mustard seed of curiosity for someone to go seek the truth, because the truth is there. It's just you have to like have this connection with someone, have a conversation with someone to go seek the truth. But yeah, I mean, thanks for bringing like add that to the list of tallies, like tally that on the list of all the things we're getting lied to about.
1,000%. All right. Thank you very, very much to our last guest. And guys, our bottom two, two guests below me our buddy Haytham and the person with the Arabic name. They're both guests from Gaza. If you wish to donate to our friends in Gaza, you could donate to them directly right there, and I appreciate you if you do. And right now we're on Beyond Vision. What's up, my friend? How are you? Thank you so much for your patience, and go right ahead, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be on this panel here. So I wanted to mention something which I'm sure you've thought about as well, which is that a bunch of white people were actually unalived by the Blueberry State on the USS Liberty. And we've seen how the politicians behaved then and still behave, because at any time they could bring accountability for all those brave people that were unalived. And the sailors are still alive and they want justice, but the politicians, God knows what they're afraid of. Couldn't just be money, because they have enough. I mean, many of them are millionaires already, and if they don't have a job, they can get by pretty well, right? So what do you think it is that has them so scared?
Yeah, I mean, so this is a theory that I've talked about with certain colleagues in this movement that I trust, who are convinced that they are blackmailed. And, like when most congressionals and senators, when they first go into office, like first want to serve office, right? Most of them are doing it in the beginning for the right reasons. Along the way, though, they become so corrupt. And so I'm thinking what's happening is there is Mossad agents inside of America who are doing things with our leadership in order to be able to blackmail them and basically are threatening them. So I know what you're talking about. Phil Turney went on the Candace Owens to talk about what happened in 1967 to the USS. Do we not say that word? I don't know. Is that a code word? The military ship that was targeted. And I went to get a link of that interview to share it on my LinkedIn, because I also share things on that platform. And it was on page 3. I literally had to I typed in Candace Owens interview of this person, and Google had put it on page 3. And on all the other pages was like people opposing this interview, calling her a liar, et cetera, et cetera. So that just shows you the dynamics of who's like collaborating and coordinating together in order to like make sure that the American public doesn't like know the truth about what happened. But if I'm being honest with you, I think it's a mix of greed for money and power and blackmail is why our leaders refuse to move on certain topics like this one or even Gaza.
Excellent question, Beyond Vision. Thank you very, very much, my friend. Yeah, everybody, as we've talked about many times on the show before, they do manipulate search engine results, as they even admit to, specifically through the institution, the ADL, run by Jonathan Greenblatt. And we've played video of him admitting this many times on the show. Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL he's the one that puts himself in charge of social media regulation. So, all right, Beyond Vision, once again, thank you guys. The bottom 2 guests right below me are guests from Gaza. If you wish to donate to them, I'll thank you on their behalf. And right now we're up to 8. Yes, Jennifer.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to ask, may I ask a question before we move on to AJ? I'm going to take that as an okay.
Jennifer, you're my moderator. You know I'm not going to say no to you. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Captain Josephine. Josie, thank you for coming back to us. Since you have been here and you've officially created a TikTok, how is it going for you? Are you getting good feedback? Are you interested in doing some more of your own posts? What is your experience here like this? And then my second question is, what kind of support are you getting from your fellows, from those that you've served with, those that have been with you? I'm hoping that you're getting more positive feedback in your life than negative, but we really would love to hear about it. And thank you again for coming to us.
Yeah. I haven't really been on TikTok very much since our last one. I did the interruption. I was in DC for a week. I did the interruption, and then when did I do the one in December? It was like the week before Christmas, and then there was Christmas, and then I interrupted in January, planned for that, did a week there, was on interviews. So I hadn't really been growing my TikTok too much. Like once or twice I went into the messages to check. Like I would go and all of a sudden I had like hundreds and hundreds of more followers. I'm like, this is like the most amazing thing about social media, where like your reach can just grow so quickly. So I like TikTok. I did get a new cell phone. And I cannot download TikTok on it. So I'm on my old cell phone with TikTok. So that'll be like an interesting, I guess like thing I have to figure out. But I like TikTok. I probably could use a little more help on like navigating through the features of it. I need to just sit down and like take a few days to like figure it out. And then my colleagues are like farmer colleagues, my former brigade commander is super supportive of me. He's a retired 06. And a brigade commander, if you're not like familiar with what that is, it's someone who's basically in charge of like 3,000 people roughly, the commander over that size. And he was one of the first people I called when they announced the ceasefire. And he was so happy like about it too. And since then, he's messaged me about how pissed off he is about what they're doing in the West Bank. So even though like people aren't like front facing like I am on what's going on, I would say that not all, but most of my former colleagues, some who are still even active duty, are really frustrated and upset by what has taken place. And not only in Gaza, but like Ukraine, and then like even what's happening now with, suggesting that we invade Greenland and Panama Canal. This is not what they want to be doing. And they don't think that this is going to be impactful for our country. In fact, it'll speed up the trajectory of our country falling. So I think that overall, yeah, I have a lot of support from them.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you. And as far as navigating TikTok, you have an excellent resource right up next to you in the top corner. Erik would be happy to assist you with anything. Like he knows how to any questions you would have. He would be so helpful. And if you ever decide to go live, I will come and support you if you need help keeping your room safe.
That's what I need to talk. What I need to like have those conversations, because I'd love to go live and do like what you're doing, Erik, and like have conversations with other people like we're having now, because I spend a lot of time doing all this research and meeting all these wonderful people that are presenting solutions. Like every question almost is like, what is the solution? What can we do? And I'm always having those conversations with people, and I'd love to like repeat that or bring them, in on TikTok and have a live with these people like that I've met along the way. So I'd love to like maybe next week get together and talk more about it.
Definitely. We've got you and Erik's team. I'm going to speak for all of us, all of Erik's moderators. We would be happy to assist you in any way we could to make sure your life goes smoothly, and that it's blueberry free is our code word for them. So we'll keep those Zios out, and we'll do anything we can to support you and help you. And thank you again.
Ooh, I'd love a Zio to come in. I'd love a Zio to try me.
Yeah, we do have because we've been doing this for so long, 15 and a half months. We have an incredible network of just people. We have a lot of human capital, so we can yeah, if you ever need anything done, you just text message me, and we have people who have done it a million times. Rika, thank you so much. Natasha, thank you so much. And right now I'm at AJ, who's been waiting very patiently. Guys, the two guests below me are in Gaza. If you wish to donate to them, I'll thank you on their behalf. My buddy AJ, what's up, my friend? Go ahead for your quick question, my friend.
Eric, my buddy, Josephine, my new hero, Captain Josephine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, you know what? I need to tell you that I was impressed with you. You can squirm like no other when they have the handcuffs on you, taking you out of the Capitol. It was amazing. You're my new hero. You know how to make them mad. I want to come and join you someday.
Yes.
I need to go to Washington and get into their face just like you did. You are the woman of the century. I'm gonna give you an Emmy, just like they gave Bisan. You know Bisan, don't you? I'm Still Alive from Gaza.
Oh my gosh, Heather, please, I'm not nearly comparable.
She just put out a video, and I almost cried just now. She said, well, I'm going back. I have no clothes. I have no home. We have nothing, but we're going home. Isn't that great? Listen to that. Can you imagine saying that on a TikTok? So my biggest thing here today is the Leahy Law. You know about the Leahy Law.
Yes.
They just kicked out UNRWA. They gave them their walking papers today in Jerusalem. And I keep asking people to go to whitehouse.gov and send a text. It only takes 30 seconds, bringing awareness that the Leahy Law is not a joke. It was put there for a reason, and Israel cannot be above the law. And we had Biden in there, who was a closet Zionist who came out at the end of his term. I call him a closet Zionist because he was definitely a Zionist. He said it more than once on live TV in interviews. And he went and he started spewing the propaganda like I've never seen a president do. So being an employee of the government or former employee, how did you feel when he went to Israel and talked about the fictional stories?
Which one was it?
All of them. The stories about the babies, about the grape.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
how did you feel?
Honestly, like the biggest like shift for me happened when I went to lobby in DC back in February, right before Aaron Bushnell self-immolated. And I went, it was my first time like in like doing something like that with Code Pink. And I had my dress blue top on, and Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania walked out of his office waving an Israeli flag in my face.
What?
While it's not comparable.
I can't stand that guy either. Fetterman is atrocious. The guy who wears a hoodie and sweats to the Congress. Oh, I can't stand him.
You can look it up on YouTube, or I just did a podcast with Katie Halper, and she replayed that video as well in the podcast of him waving that flag in my face. And so like after that happened, so this is February 2024. After that happened, everything else for me I knew was propaganda. Like they were just trying to continue to brainwash the masses with this narrative that we all know isn't true. And so like even what you're saying right now, I kind of just like stopped paying attention to, like, to a degree that it wouldn't make me emotional. As a former intelligence officer, I understand that I need to understand the enemy. I need to know what they're saying. I need to know what their tactics are, what their strategies are, because that's how we win against the enemy, is to understand that. And so for me, it was like I strategically understood what they were doing, but I stopped letting it affect me emotionally because I would become too burnt out. So like what happened with John Fetterman, him waving that flag in my face, like for weeks I went home devastated. I had no idea this corruption existed inside our government. I had been blindly following our government for my entire adult life. This was a really hard onion peel to like it like peeled, and it was just like, whoa. It was just like, so, you know, all I say to you and to other people is to just like understand that, you know, this is a spiritual warfare. There's a lot going on here that we really can't let it affect us too emotionally, that it burns us out or stops us from being impactful or, you know, productive, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. And going back to the Leahy law,
Oh, yeah.
that was my main question. What does Medea have plans? Are you guys have a strategy to attack them for that?
I mean,
There
it's
is.
been ongoing. Like letters have been sent to these leaders. Here's the issue, here's the challenge. So like former State Department officials that have resigned have all brought this up on mainstream media. Like it's no secret that this Leahy law exists. The challenge is the fact that the former State Department did not confirm that these international laws and Geneva Convention violations were happening. And the way that they did that by design was had the diplomats change the narrative inside of their cables. A cable
Their
is like an
cables.
email, like a correspondence.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why you had people resign, because they were trying to send the information to show evidence that Israel is violating international laws and the Geneva Convention. But the State Department refused to hear or validate that evidence. So it allowed them to continue to have the green light to send weapons. You and I both know that the truth is going to eventually come out. Who knows what like the prosecution and justice will look like for the leaders of the State Department that did this, like Anthony Blinken. Hopefully he rots in prison. But the reality is that law doesn't matter if they're going to, you know, basically try and hide the evidence.
Exactly. And
AJ,
my last question would be very simple. Okay. Do you think that we're going to have boots on the ground in Israel, American boots, not the kind that's there now, with the
Dads.
Pentagon supporting a candy billionaire here in America? His name is Kahana, Motte, Mott, Kahana. He owns a wholesale candy company. Anybody who comes in bulk candy, he does the gummy worms, he does the the Huggy Bears, the peach rings. You've seen these candies in every bodega in America. This man has become a billionaire from selling our kids the most disgusting ingredients and food colorings, and our mothers of these kids buy these in the bodegas thinking it's just sugar and water and gelatin. But it's more than that. It's poison for our kids. And the country is in disarray with diabetes. And this guy got a $200 million contract from the Pentagon. Okay, yes, it's on Google. If you Google it, you'll see it right now. Okay, just type in Mote Kahana, and he is a target we should hit for boycotting his candy company because they gave him a $200 million of our tax money to go to Gaza to be in charge. And he bought, guess what he bought with that money? Blackwater. You know who Blackwater is? They're a security agency that was owned by BlackRock, and they sold it to him, and he got permission to go to Israel with Netanyahu's permission to protect the flour and aid trucks that are coming in from Israel proper to Gaza. And they're going to take them into a compound. And you know what this means?
AJ?
He's going to have, yes? Yes, sir?
Go ahead.
They're going to have flour massacres for anybody trying to touch the trucks because of the starvation down there. And our Congress and our Pentagon is complicit. $200 million they gave this billionaire to go to Israel and commit this atrocity.
AJ,
And
what I
there's
suggest that
more.
you do whenever you do this investigative journalism is that you start learning how to create content to get this, like, piece together all this information, because what you're telling me is so many pieces that it like you need to create or work with someone to create content that puts these pieces together so that, like, in mass collectively we can understand what you're saying, because you're giving me so many details that even just right now without a visual to track what you're saying, it's difficult. So my suggestion to
I
you,
understand.
my suggestion to you, because it seems like you have a knack for investigative journalism, is to put this together at least in an op-ed and then maybe give it to content creators that can piece it together into a video to be able to share on social media.
AJ, thank you
Gotcha.
very, very much for the great questions and great information, buddy. Guys, the two guests below me are both in Gaza. If you wish to donate to them, I'll thank you on their behalf. And Hisham, appreciate your patience very, very much, Hisham. You've been waiting a long, long time. Go right ahead, Hisham. Appreciate you again, buddy.
Hey, thank you very much, my friend. And I just want to say to Captain Josephine, I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for your service, not just for the military, but for everything you do for humanity. Before I go to my question, I just want to say, because last time you were on Eric's show, you said that you identify now as Palestinian. And as a Palestinian Canadian, we'll be very proud to have you amongst us. Ironically, the name Guilbeau is very close to a Palestinian family name called Jalbout. So
Wait a second, because that's my family's surname.
yes,
Is it Guilbault?
it's the same thing, but we say Jalbout. You know, we say the T at the end. So
Yes,
from
that's
now
my
on,
family's surname. Hold
yes.
on one second.
So
Maybe I
from now
am
on,
Palestinian after all.
yeah, your Palestinian name is Josephine Jalbout right now, and we just approved Eric's citizenship, and now we're approving yours. So you're one of us. So
Thank
thank you for all what you're doing. Now, before I start, like, because I'm an IT guy, and I worked with intelligence and military and like mass surveillance and anti-terrorism. I stopped that years ago on ethical background. You know, as an intelligence, you know how this could be used. But here's my question, because I see a lot. The motivation for me is that I come from the Middle East, and there was a lot of terrorist attack. I lost people for that. So I wanted to go that to stop those attacks, but I then realized that the governments are using this intelligence for other stuff, bad stuff. I have a lot of, intelligence, very young guys here in Canada, or some of them in the United States. They want to do something. They want to help that. But when they ask me for help, I cannot tell them to do what I have done before, because I know that it could. So what do you say? How could we advise our people who are good into that to go into fields that they can prevent bad things to happen without getting involved with, these institutions that might might take those guys and use their brains and their work to spy on their own people, for example, or to do that against activists or as bad things. What do you do? What do you say for those people?
I mean, honestly, like, I also did counterterrorism as an intelligence officer and analyst. And so, like, I do understand that, I don't like using the word necessarily anymore, but I do understand that there are evil people that exist. For me, this is like good and evil. It's the most basic term. It doesn't identify with a certain country or color. There is good in the world and there is evil in the world. And there always will be. And right now it's out of balance by very rich people. So I don't know. Like, my suggestion is that we have to create more good in the world to balance out the evil. And how can you help the communities that are most affected by the evil? Like, not necessarily going and being a spy, because that's like joining the military. Oh, I'll join the military and change it. That's not really the answer anymore. Like, we used to think that's the answer, but that's not the answer not becoming what you're trying to stop is not the answer. So, like, in my opinion, having like safe communities that aren't vulnerable to these organizations that come with evil, that are controlled by the oligarchs, is the way out. Like, being self-sovereign. I said this earlier in a conversation, like, if I grow my own food and, have chickens and have community support, I am less affected and controlled by the evil ones. And so that's how we need to try and push that sovereignty for not only us in America, but just like on an international scale. That way we can like bypass all this like evil thing that you're saying, that these groups that intend to do harm to people.
Well, I'm doing a lot of awareness. One of this is coming to Eric's show and tell all of things. But so I think that's part of the things that we can tell them. So thank you very much. And right before I go, because I want to leave time for others, I'm doing an investigative things about since this onslaught started, like collecting videos, information. I speak a little bit Hebrew, and I know people who speak, so we get information. Eric knows because I come to the show sometimes and say about what they say on Hebrew media that they don't do it in English. So I will be happy if you want. I'm not American and I'm not a veteran, but I can provide investigative information to your organization. I provide it everywhere with activists and all, but if your organization feels that there could be some use of it, I'm very willing to help with that.
I personally don't have like, I work with multiple organizations, but I don't personally like join them, if you will, because I have 4 children, and like what I need right now is to be able to be raising my children. So for me, it's difficult to get too involved for long term, but there are organizations that would love to receive information. I mean, I'm sure, Eric, that might be like a great content to create, of where can you send people like him that have this evidence, that have this information. Where can they go? Who can they email it to? Who can they send it to? This might be because like the organizations I work for, the humanitarian organizations, I guess I do know some, that I've sent some information to, but like there's specific organizations for this. And maybe, Eric, this is something that you have the reach for.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate you, and welcome to the Palestinian community.
Yay! Thank you.
All right. Thank you very, very much, Hasham. If anybody else would like to come up and ask her a question, just go right ahead. And right now I'm at our friend Siobhan. Siobhan! Hello, moderator Siobhan. Go right ahead.
Hello. Oh, Captain, my captain.
I love that.
We'd stand on a desk for you, I bet. A lot of us. Parlez-vous français, mademoiselle?
Je parle un petit peu.
Ah, ok, j'étais curieuse parce que tu prononces ton nom en anglais au lieu de français.
Oui, mon mère et mon père parlaient français. So
Ah, ok.
j'ai parlé un petit peu.
Ok, très bien.
Siobhan, are you speaking Canadian in front of us again?
It's called French, darling.
It
French.
sounds Canadian to me.
Français.
I don't know what you're talking about, but go
Oh,
ahead.
no. Okay, thanks for bringing that up. Roommate was taking linguistics course, and she said that the prof said that Americans think Canadians are saying a boot, but we're not. It's something about diphthongs, and I don't know what diphthongs are, but yeah, it's all in your head. We don't say a boot. We don't.
It's all in our head. This
Yep,
is
it's all in
exactly
your head.
why Donald Trump is going to make Canada the 51st state,
You
Siobhan.
said
This
it
is exactly why.
yesterday. You said
Go
it
ahead,
yesterday. It's
Siobhan.
not going to happen. I heard you say it.
I know. I'm just playing with you, Siobhan. Go right
Yeah,
ahead.
he razzes me all the time. Yeah, and my dad. So I don't know who would know this, but do you think it's possible for the well, I would have the ICJ say that Netanyahu and his fellow war criminals and ITF and all of them people would be sentenced to cleaning up the mess they made and rebuilding the homes that they destroyed and all the businesses they destroyed. But it seems like the people, the Palestinians, are going to try to do that themselves. And I just don't know who knows this, if it's possible to use all that rubble to build the new structures like they did in Haiti. They used wire mesh or something like that to.
Actually, you know what, Siobhan? You just brought up a really, really good point in question. Josephine, did you know who is responsible for the rebuilding of Gaza? Like,
No,
who is that?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that Qatar has some hand in like the logistics of it. Jordan, but I'm really not sure like what the plans are. One thing that they really haven't made public all the details of. That's one thing that if any age group is listening, we're going to need you to do more interviews about what's going on. Because we want to know these details and get these details out to the public, you know? If you guys know what I'm saying, our age group that the hostages are like fangirls of. What is it called? They have like googly eyes. I was like, oh my God.
You've seen that, yeah, that viral video that's absolutely everywhere.
They
Yes.
fell in love in Gaza. They fell in love in Gaza.
There's a spoof video of a girl, a guy dressed up as a girl who will not leave the tunnel. It's like, no, keep me, please. And
oh my gosh,
Siobhan, were you the one that sent me that video? I've been trying to find that video to play for everybody, and I can't find that video again.
I can't remember, actually. But there's another video.
I want to find that. All right, that was the video I was trying to find for yesterday. But all right, I'm sorry, Siobhan, I interrupted you.
Yeah, you
go ahead for your question for. I know, I'm terrible. Go ahead for your question for our friend. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just asking because that's something that the supplies that the Palestinians would need there is the mesh, or it's not chicken wire, but stronger. They can make the frames of their walls and put in the rubble small enough to make the walls, and then put cement over it, and then all that rubble will not be, just filling up a landfill or something like that. It can actually be used.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that I watched some videos at one point that they were making, they were like hammering all the like stone down to dust and then like trying to make something out of it again. But, if I'm being honest with you, if anyone's going to be able to figure it out, it's going to be the Palestinians. They are incredibly resourceful and smart. Yeah. And they probably already know these processes of what they're going to do and not do, what they need to be able to do it, because this is what I've come to understand, how they literally have been living their lives for 76 years. So they just
Yeah,
carry
having to
on this
rebuild many.
knowledge, you know?
It's terrible. But I would seriously be making all the blueberries rebuild and making them leave their homes.
Yeah, 100%. Because I agree with you, Siobhan. That was the one thing that I feared from the beginning. Like, dude, when they try, all right, Israel made America pay to blow everything up, and now I'm like, dude, Israel's going to make America pay to rebuild it. So we flip the bill both on both sides of this. Freaking insane. Stella, if you're still in the chat room, you failed to load. If you want to try and load again, we'll try and load you again. We don't know what happened with that, Stella. And Siobhan, anything else you wanted to add? And appreciate you so much.
Only about getting PTSD counseling to all the Palestinians there. I think that universities, or anywhere that they can speak English, Palestinians first, and then any Arab speakers, to get tuition and half tuition to study counseling, and then be able to go and offer counseling to the Palestinians, like doctors and paramedics and children in particular, so that they can help them. Like, at least then that there won't be a language barrier between
Yeah,
counselor.
that's a great idea. Like that type of mutual aid is like definitely necessary. And I'm even wondering if there are organizations that are already in the works to get these rotations set up, kind of like how Med Global sets up rotations of doctors. I'm wondering if that is going to be sort of something that's going to be included in this aftermath.
Right. Lush Cosmetics has watermelon soap for sale, and they said that 100% of the proceeds is going to provide for mental health services for Palestinian children, and the West Bank too, I think. So if there's anyone out there who wants to contact them and ask them who's going to do that.
Yeah,
that can happen. And
yeah.
pleasure to talk to you. Mon plaisir de parler avec vous.
Oui. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Siobhan, thank you once again. Stella, I seen you in the chat room. Stella, you failed to load last time. You could try again to reload. I don't know what happened, Stella. I'm up on Gold Seal right next. And so up here, I see you, Stella. Gold Seal, go right ahead, and thank you so much for your patience. The bottom two guests right below my panel, guys, are both in Gaza. If you wish to donate to anybody in Gaza, you can donate to them. And go ahead, Gold Seal. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, Josephine, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
You don't remember me? God bless you. God bless you so much. And like, you're the real hero of my family. I'm blessed with 4 kids too. So like, my little one is 5 years old. He knows you. Believe it or not. He knows you. He just know you as a girl hero.
Oh, good. I showed my kids the videos of me getting arrested too, because I'm normalizing it.
Oh.
And that's a sad thing, isn't it? Gee, our country is this messed up. I mean, oh my gosh. Yeah. Go right ahead, Gold Seal.
Like, have you ever talked to any senator like personally, face to face? Did you ever tell them, like, do you really, like, your heart accepts it?
Yes, I have talked to them.
Wow.
I actually have tried turning some of them into infiltrators. I attempted to try and make them infiltrate their own government. And these people they have the most evil souls, because I'm a spiritual person and I like have a sense of like energy. The souls of these people are so dark and evil that it's almost like
they're worshiping evil.
They're worshiping evil. They've sold their souls to evil. It's hard to find the light inside of them to connect, is what I'm saying.
Oh my
like
God.
When having these conversations with them, you're like, where is the light inside of you for you to actually connect with me and hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wonder if they have kids too. I don't know what they teach their kids. That's okay. I mean, I really am your big fan too. So another question is, since Trump decided that Jordan and Egypt thing that he's gonna move them out, right? So do you think like we all know? I want to say is how Trump's ego is. So once he said that, he'll do it, right? So you
I
think?
mean, maybe, yeah. I anticipate that he's going to use manipulative ways to do it, like he's going to hold off on like rebuilding supplies or the like all the logistics and supply route for rebuilding their society to try and like convince the people to leave. Basically, like, oh well, you either can keep living in a tent until you get the supplies you need to rebuild. Like tactics, like manipulative tactics like that, I fully anticipate is going to happen.
But these people are so smart. Like they're going through not just since 2 years. They're going through this in 75 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen a change in like the rhetoric that I'm hearing from Republican evil senators like Lindsey Graham, who went on an interview. He looks so uncomfortable. You can just tell that there's something fighting inside of him to like escape the evilness that he is. And he talks about he finally addresses like the truth about the fact that people in Gaza are not going to leave.
Oh wow.
Like they'll live in a tent.
Yeah.
They'll live in a tent for years if they have to, you know?
Yeah, I was just worried that day, the day we saw the news that Trump has decided that he's going to talk to Jordan and Egypt, right? The whole night I couldn't sleep, and the next day I had so dark circles. I was like so worried, waiting for, but the results came like both of them denied, and I was relieved. But now the more I'm scared is like if Trump is going to threaten them, you know what I'm saying? Like he already stopped the aid to Jordan, so I don't know.
Yeah, just I mean, honestly, just like leave your heart and mind prepared for anything. I mean, look at what we just went through with our, loved one, people that we now love. And maybe you might have actual loved ones in Gaza. Like for me, I feel like I have family there now just through this experience. But like, what could possibly be worse than a genocide? Like we literally have just went through the worst thing that could ever happen to any human being, to be starved, to be kept from water, for your children to be bombed and maimed. There's literally nothing worse that they can threaten these people with to manipulate them. And so that gives me the comfort that I know that, and I want to believe that the evil ones know that too. But, just leave your heart and mind open and don't ever stop fighting. That's the biggest thing. Don't get burnt out to where you stop.
Gaza is in my breath. It's in my heartbeat. One last question is, Gaza's population was 2.3 million, but did you see that Trump said 1.3 million? So,
I think he probably doesn't even know what he's saying, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I don't think he actually knows the numbers. I think he might have, I think it was by coincidence that he even got that close to a number. Like, I don't think he actually knows the real details of everything.
Exactly. I was so scared when he said 1.3, and I was like, oh my goodness, God forbid. I don't want to hear that 1 million people have been martyred with those children, poor children.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a leader is only as knowledgeable as his advisors around him.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that all of Trump's advisors around him are completely misportraying the situations and the numbers, everything in Israel too.
Yeah.
Because I think the same thing with George Bush Jr. Dude, he was completely misled by the intelligence community, his own the Secretary of Defense at the time, Rumsfeld. I mean, he was just completely lied to. When you have the CIA, the military, and all these very, very authoritative figures lying to you, I mean, you just tend to believe them. So I think, our system is so messed up.
Yeah, Eric, it's interesting that you say that because I believe this as well. And I'm friends with the former State Department officials that have resigned. And this is a conversation I've actually had with them specifically about the narrative that's getting told to these congressionals and these senators to like keep them supporting, because it's like, come on, you got to know what's going on. But when I was lobbying in Congress and I was trying to have conversations with the legislative staff, which is your senator staff, your congressional staff, about what's going on with BRICS, 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 it's like the opposition of NATO, basically, or G7. Most of the legislative staff didn't even know what BRICS was. So that tells me that the staff that's supposed to be advising our legislative branch doesn't know that there's this world power that's rising above us right now, and they should consider the decisions that they're making as leaders, understanding that other world leaders are surpassing us with their power. So, like, just to your point, they are so ignorant to a lot of facts. And if they don't have people on the ground giving them the truth, then they'll make decisions based off of ignorance.
Wow. They didn't know what BRICS was. Okay, our audience is more educated than our politicians, because that's something we talk about on our show once in a while. That's insane.
Eric, it was so bad that Medea Benjamin from Code Pink pulled me aside, and after like this third appointment we were at, and said, you're gonna have to stop bringing up BRICS because sorry. Did you hear? Sorry, did I get cut off?
Yeah, Medea said to stop bringing up BRICS.
Yeah, she said she had pulled me aside after like our third appointment with staff, with the legislative staff, and she said, you'll have to stop bringing up BRICS because they don't know what you're talking about. Like the staff, it was like I was basically wasting like 5 minutes of talking points to try and talk about something that they literally had no idea what I was talking about.
That is insane. That is absurd. Yeah, the way I describe it to the audience, it's a parallel economy alliance, but it also like secondhand acts as a military alliance too, kinda. So, all right, yeah, Jesus, they're that ignorant, huh? Oh
Yes,
my
they
God,
are.
yeah. When I listen to politicians, I hear them use all the Zio talking points and Zio buzzwords and isms and stuff too. It's ridiculous. Stella, thank you so much for your patience. Stella, you're up to bat next. Remember everybody to keep keeping it within like one question so I can catch up to all the guests waiting too. Stella, once again, thank you for your patience, and go ahead, Stella. Hello, Stella. Did a microphone request to you, Stella?
Yeah, do you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you again for patience, Stella. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. No problems. Hi, Josephine.
Hi.
I think I have more than one question. So, so the first one is, I don't know if it is random or whatever. So I'm thinking about who is the mother and who is the baby. After lots of research, I came up to a decision, to some kind of understanding that if we have GEW, the population is between 9 and 11, like worldwide, and there are so many people among them that they have American citizenship. So my question is, like, how many of them, the GAWs, are Americans, in fact?
I don't know what's a GAW?
She meant to say JEW.
Blueberry? Can I say blueberry?
Okay. Sorry, I'm still.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
So, honestly, like, I don't know. And this is actually not the first time someone has had this conversation with me. And I've heard multiple theories about how many of them actually exist. But one thing I want to like tell you, that I have met so many blueberries that are not, there's a difference between a JEW and a ZIO. And we really have to make sure that we say that, because it's so dangerous to what can happen to those who practice Judaism if we put them into the same category as the evil ones. They're just the evil ones. They're this century they're called Zios. Last century they were called Nazis. The century before they were called whatever. Like it's the same evil. It's just called something else in our time and space that we exist in order to, brainwash us. But I don't know, I don't know what the population is, but at the end of the day, there is an imbalance of good. There's not an imbalance of good versus evil. The imbalance is there is not enough good people taking action against the evil. The evil is a very, very small percentage, but they have overpowered the good people and are keeping them like sleeping in like, I don't know, like the word, like they're keeping them running on the hamster wheel, working 3 jobs, struggling to pay bills. That's all by design to keep them distracted from seeing the evil that they're actually doing.
Yes, guys, remember like we use as examples of the Soviet Empire. Zioism is a political belief among the people, but it's not the people. Just like in the Soviet Russian days, Soviets were Russians, but not all Russians were Soviets. So Stella, you had a one more question, and then I'm gonna move up to Sammy. Stella, I turned your microphone off for a second because there's a little bit of static in the background. So go ahead again for your next one.
Yeah, no, just a clarification of this. My question was, how many Zios are Americans? That's my question.
I don't think people even know that there's. I don't even think people understand what they're agreeing that they support is what I like evangelical Christians, for example. They have their own layers of programming that exists. I don't know what the numbers are. What I focus on is peeling those layers back and educating people with the truth so that they have the ability to critically think through what they are being told and to doubt it and to be a little bit curious about it. I think that's more important for me because it makes things more achievable than when I start counting the millions of people that are brainwashed, because the reality is we're all programmed to a degree, right? Like we really are. We're human beings. We have our own life experiences. But the best thing that you can do is just like focus on what is in your control and how can you influence people by telling them the truth and what layers can you peel back. Don't focus on the large mass number because you'll give up. Before you even start, you'll give up.
Okay, so my second question, have you heard of the Canary Mission? It's crazy. Have you heard of that?
I have. I don't even pay attention to that because I feel like that's more of a psyop to get people to not speak out and to just be worried about the consequences. I don't even pay attention to that. They can literally take their website and shove it where the sun doesn't shine.
They updated their website now, and
I hope I'm on it. If I'm not on it, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah. So the target is the students and the professors and the doctors. It's strange. So one of these doctors, they just thought that they reported him to the police because he tweeted something, and then he was against, he is anti-Semite or whatever. But now the thing is that all these students, even if they don't even go for demonstration or whatever, just by writing a Twitter, just by writing something, and now they started to talk about TikTok. What do you say about what do you say during your interaction with people during the TikTok? And their aim is that your future, when you go and submit your you want to be you submit your CV or whatever, you will be rejected because the employers, they go and check this kind of, you know,
Yeah, I think that
mission,
like
and that
someone
is
just
so
said in the
messy.
comments, if I'm being honest with you, someone said this in the comments, and this is like really like crucial that everyone understands. What you pay attention to grows. Most people in the world, like are in America, actually don't know about that website. Like employers, like if you go to work somewhere, like most people actually don't know about that website. And so it's honestly best not to even talk about it, not to bring awareness to it for anybody listening that ends up finding out about it. But I'll tell you what I have suggested to the International Peace Coalition when it comes to the students that are being punished is there needs to be a mass amount of support from colleges and universities that are willing to accept these students and any credit that they have from these colleges to transfer over to a university that supports the Palestinian movement and the liberation of human beings. Because the reality is, I am not going to send my children to any college and pay tuition for any college that does not support the liberation. So they'd be doing me a favor by kicking my child out of that college. I don't want to go. My daughter, I have a 15-year-old. We planned for like since she was 8 years old to go to George Washington University. That was her dream, to be an art therapist and to go to this university. Now she knows that this university is Zio's and she doesn't even want to go. So in my opinion, let them do this. But there needs to be a soft place for people to land to be able to go to a college that supports the liberation of people.
Absolutely.
1,000%.
Josephine, I just wanted to say there are two that I know of right off the top of my head in California that have divested and are not. So UC Davis and Sacramento State. I will continue to do research and let you know because I was ready to go be there for the students, you know, bring them water, just be there to show my support, and they won. So I know Sac State and UC
That's
Davis.
amazing.
But it is happening. It is happening. So there's definitely a good hope for your daughter, your child to get into a university that doesn't support them, and an excellent message. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and I wanna say something, Stella. I got contacted by someone. She's an older, like she's older than me. I'm not gonna say she's old. She's an old lady, but she's in her early 50s, and she's an engineer, like an IT engineer, or networking engineer. I can't remember exactly what it was. And for critical infrastructure, which I relate to because I did cybersecurity engineering for critical infrastructure, which is like water treatment facilities, power plants, chemical plants. She was removed from the board of her organization, almost kind of like a union for her organization. And she was so upset about it. And it just kept like festering in her, you know, that she got kicked off this board, and she knows it was because she spoke out for Palestine. And I said, thank God they did you a favor, because now you understand that those people and that group supports these atrocities that are happening. And now they don't get your brain, your knowledge, your wisdom. They don't have access to it anymore. So instead of being upset that you no longer get to exist in this entity, create your own. Find a community of people that are like you, that have the same knowledge, skill set, career as you. Create your own group. I'm like, that's a blessing. I'm out of the military. I don't work for like as a defense contractor anymore. They'll never let me work back in the intelligence community. To me, it's a blessing. I don't want to go back anyway. So good. They couldn't deter me by saying you can't come back. I wasn't deterred by that, you know? Yes, Sammy, that I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it's so important for anyone listening to understand what that means, because there are sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs there are always going to be sheep, whether it's our children or like someone mentioned earlier when I was trying to say like people that are sleeping, it's like they're in slumber. Their consciousness isn't awakened. Those are sheep. They will always need someone to protect them and lead them into the truth and like to not do evil things. But there will always be wolves trying to attack the sheep. And what is happening and what has happened for a very long time is that wolves have the sheepdog are in sheepdog's clothing. And so they convince you that they're the good guy and really they're not. So yeah, Sammy, I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that analogy. There's one thing about that though that I feel like is promising that they're not going to exploit their resources is the understanding that this war is not over, and if they try to do something like that, it is so incredibly easy for the Palestinians to resist against that and like boom boom the infrastructure. So I feel like it would take years and years for Is Not Real to have the confidence to build the infrastructure that it would take to exploit these natural resources. But also they are exploiting the resources now in the state of Israel, which is, occupied Palestine as well. And there are like natural gas pipelines that go through Egypt to provide natural gas to whoever they traded with. And apparently those pipes are safe. So, I could be wrong, but I'd like to believe that the Palestinian people will not allow infrastructure to be built in order to exploit their resources. It's called the State of Israel, but it's actually also Palestine. I always say that. I'm gonna actually make some final talking points before I have to go. If everyone can please follow the Eisenhower Media Network. If you Google Eisenhower Media, you'll see this is who I work with now. These are my colleagues. We have, I think, 12 or 13 of us, former FBI, former CIA generals, former military generals who are pro-Palestinian, and we are starting to use this platform to get their voices out there, to speak for Palestine. I know some of you already know Larry Wilkerson, Dennis Fritz, and Ann Wright. She's a fellow there too. But we have other ones that are, they are itching to be able to get the truth out there about what's going on. So if you guys can help amplify their voices, because their voices, like mine, it's heard by so many people in the world because of, our backgrounds and experience. It's hard to debunk the narrative when we're speaking it. And so their voices will be really powerful for this movement. So Eisenhower Media Network, there's an Instagram and a TikTok, please follow. I created our first reel today collectively of like 4 of us or 5 of us. We do podcasts, we do interviews. So, and then Erik, thank you so much for having me. I'd love to come back. I'm going to host you on mine. Jennifer's going to help me learn
that'd be so
how to do
awesome.
it.
I'll text you. I'll text you later on how to set it all up, and of course, I have plenty of moderators who could help your show move very
100.
smoothly.
Thank you.
So our friend Jennifer right here, Siobhan, all of them, Magic, all of them. So thank you very, very much for taking your time to swing on by, and we super appreciate you as always. Everybody, if you haven't yet, please hit the follow button on our guest here. And we'll do everything with Eisenhower Media too to help boost up their account too, of course. So
yeah, and I love anybody that's in Gaza that's listening. I love you guys. I admire your resilience and your fight and your deep faith, and it's not something that I don't overlook every day, and it truly inspires me to keep going, because if you can keep going, so can I. So I just want to say that all eyes are on you all the time. So I love you guys.
Thank you so much for such a great ending. Thank you once again, Josephine, for swinging by. Everybody, please hit the follow button on her. I'll put the link to Eisenhower Media. I'll put the link to that account in the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, link is in my profile. Hit the link tree and it'll get you right in there. So, Josephine, thank you so much for swinging by. We always appreciate you.
Okay. Bye-bye.